Hi everyone and welcome to Gamerside. It's Driftwood speaking, and today I'm not going to give you a review of Forza Horizon 5, but I'm going to show you and discuss all the versions I was able to play, which means almost all of them except for the Xbox Series S that I don't own, sadly. So I won't be talking about the Xbox Series S version, but all the other versions you'll see and you'll know what I think of them. So let's get started. So it's quite normal that I would start with the base Xbox One, the 2013 version, the one I had from Microsoft. So I'm not even talking about the Xbox One S. It's the Xbox One version running on the original hard drive, so no cheating here. And as you can see, which was something I was worried about, the game still looks very, very impressive for the hardware. And the people who cannot play this on Xbox One X or even Xbox Series S or X won't be disappointed. Obviously, there's a lot more aliasing here to be seen. Pop-in and LOD issues are more noticeable. It's quite normal for such a hardware. But even texture filtering and textures in general are not as neat and precise as on the current-gen consoles, obviously. But other than that, I think you'll agree with me when I say that this is quite an impressive version to imagine that such a game would run as smoothly on such old hardware. Now, obviously, the one thing you're going to have to cope with on Xbox One and also on Xbox One X are the loading issues that occur even during the introduction on the base Xbox One. I was surprised to see that when jumping from one car to another, all cars are located in different places, so I guess that explains why, but there are loading screens, and the first one is pretty long. It's more than 1 minute and 30 seconds, which 1 minute and 30 seconds of a black screen is pretty long the first time you experience it, especially in the introduction, which is supposed to be very dynamic. But all the gameplay sequences I've played, and I've played a bit more than an hour on the base Xbox One, it's always been very, very smooth. The 30 FPS mode is, well, there's only the one mode, obviously, on Xbox One, but it's very smooth, and I think the motion blur is doing a great job again, smoothing things out, making sure that the experience is really, really fluid, and this is what we wanted. So I'm showing you some sequences taken from different events, but you also see a bit of open world free ride, so you can really see what to expect. The resolution for this version is 1080p max, which means that there's a dynamic resolution system in place, scaling of resolution, so it's probably lower. I didn't do the pixel count. I'm sure Digital Foundry will do it, so please go to them if you want more information. I simply wanted to show you the different version in the best possible quality so you can actually see what you can expect from each of them, except again from the Xbox Series X version that I don't own, and I'm really sorry, but I was not going to buy a console just to show a few minutes of gameplay. But for me, again, I was pretty impressed by how the game looks. It's clearly less sharp than the other versions, and you'll see that in just a bit. But really, I don't think we could expect more than this. This is so far away from the Cyberpunk 2077 fiasco we had last year, which is normal because Playground games never disappointed. And all the Microsoft Studios games basically always ran very, very well and looked very good, even on base Xbox One. And it's no surprise, but it's still quite a visual feat, I would say, if you don't compare this version to the other ones. Because if you do, you're going to spot the differences very, very easily, I guess. So here is me driving through Mexico and you can see very, very smooth, very nice lighting effects. Yeah, sure, these special effects are much less impressive, and the particles are fewer here. But other than that, it's really a game that doesn't look like it's running on such a old hardware, and I think that's key here. So yeah, that's it for me for the Xbox One version. Let's talk about the Xbox One X version now. Forza Horizon 5 on Xbox One X looks incredible. As you can see, the resolution here is 4K in the best possible situations. Again, resolution scaling is in action, but I haven't really seen anything too problematic in that respect. I've played the game on Xbox One X for about 3 to 4 hours and enjoyed a very, very smooth and a very sharp experience in which quality is very nice. Obviously, you're going to see a lot issues than on Series X, notably on the rocks and the vegetation in general, especially the trees, as you'll see. So it's something you might want to look at as I'm showing here some gameplay clips of this version. But other than that, again, it's quite an impressive port. Well, it's actually not a port, but version, I would say. And although there are there's only the one graphics mode, which is 4K 30, and there is no frame rate or performance mode as there is on the Xbox Series S, which should be again a nice option for those who own the console, as you can choose between 1440p and 30 fps at launch, and a performance mode running at 1080p and 60 fps. But for the Xbox One X here, it's just 4K, dynamic 4K and 30 frames per second. But as you can see, other than the LUT issues I mentioned before, it looks very, very sharp. And I wanted to show you as many different environments as I could. The dunes here, the impressive jumps. As always, the game hasn't changed. It still plays the same. It plays great. It's really a game that is all about the fun, and you won't be disappointed if you really loved the four previous titles in the series. There's view distance is also quite impressive, and I wanted to show you some nice vistas. Vistas you're going to see on most systems, actually, because those are places I came back to just to show you the differences. And here you can see that the LOD issues can be spotted on the rocks that actually change when you're really close to them. The details, and this is something you won't see on Xbox Series S, X, and PC, and obviously that's a nice upgrade here. Also, you can see the LOD actually showing, although again, it's not uncommon to see such things in the old gen machines systems. It's really something we've been used to up until now, so it shouldn't be a problem to you. Again, check the trees. The main difference, other than the LOD issues and obviously the details in the terrain, I guess, is that you get loading screens and that they are much longer on the older hardware than they are on the current gen systems, which again makes sense. But to start a race, you should probably count on about 35 to 40 seconds on Xbox One X, and pretty much the same on Xbox One. Talking about the original hard drive, so again, it might be possible to speed things up if you own an SSD and you can use it on those systems. But what can I say? Again, look at the vistas, very, very nice. It's a great looking game. It's obviously on par with the previous episodes. But the key here, again, the key feature is that I have never seen any slowdowns of any kind, and the 30 FPS mode is just a joy to play, and it feels actually great to play too. So I leave you with a few more landscapes here in these Mexican ruins, and we're going to talk about the Xbox Series X version next. So I guess you are going to see some pretty nice things visually, and I'll also be able to show you the two different graphics modes that are available, the quality mode to begin with, and then the performance mode. But let me just give you the time to enjoy this last segment of the video, and I'll see you in just a bit. So here it is, the Xbox Series X. Was about to say One X, but no, Xbox Series X running in quality mode, which is 4K and 30 frames per second. As you can see, the details in the environment are pretty staggering, and as you will see when I show you some gameplay clips, the 30 FPS mode is just butter smooth. It's silky smooth, and it's a joy to play. There's no latency to be felt when playing, and it makes actually choosing between the quality mode and the performance mode quite a pickle, really, as again, Playground Games have made an incredible job at making this game run very smoothly, whatever the graphics mode you choose to play. So again, I'm showing you all the details. It's something, and if you're anything like me, you're going to have a blast just using the drone and checking every possible detail in the environment. It's really something. With the sky, also the clouds look amazing. The lighting in general looks much more realistic, I would say, and it's not something you lose when you play the old gen versions, obviously, but it's even more precise, more pristine on Xbox Series X and obviously PC too. So even the signpost here, information signs, that you can read things, you can see that. Just imagine what Playground Games can do when you actually have this type of detail in a game when you can just walk around, when you play in third person or even in first person view for that matter. It actually looks very, very impressive in terms of details and the textures and the number of rocks and stones you can see. Now obviously the game is a bit more empty than, say, your regular third person action game, adventure game, but that's always been the case in the series. Maybe the lack of life, in a way, if you will, where you have people, especially like in such locations. But other than that, you don't see a lot of people, even in the local town, which looks very, very nice. You have a few people at the balconies, but it feels a bit empty. And since when you play an online mode, you only have the other players, and I would say a bit less traffic, I think, than when you play in offline mode. It's a bit like you're on your own, I guess. But that's the only really caveat, I would say, because the game looks really impressive. And in terms of textures, also something I haven't mentioned before, and I haven't seen maybe in details on the Xbox One X version, is that if you take a look at this is very, very sharp, but on Xbox One X, it's really a blurry mess. So it's no big deal, because when you're playing the game, you're playing it like this, so you're driving at very high speed, and you're not going to notice that the textures are blurry on older consoles, or that you don't have as many rocks or stones on the ground. But still, it just shows the scalability of the engine. And here, because I'm using this electric Porsche, the thing is, just look at the lot and even the trees and the rocks and everything, the cliffs. It doesn't show in the quality mode, which is quite impressive again. So take a look at the vistas I've added here. You're in the canyon. It's actually a bit reminiscent of the first Forza Horizon, and maybe even the third. There was a in Australia, a part of the map where there were canyons, if I remember correctly. And yeah, there's a bit of a Red Dead Redemption 2 sort of feel here, I would say. And I wanted to finish with the Forza Vista mode, where you can spot ray tracing. As far as I know, the ray tracing reflections are only concern the reflections of the car on the car. So here you can see, like on the chromes, that you see the spoilers and the different things reflecting. But I don't think the environment itself is using ray tracing. It's probably more cube maps, as when you drive around in the open world, for example, and it's effective enough. Now, obviously, in the Forza Vista mode, when you take a look at the reflection of the house, it doesn't look very detailed, and that's why I think it's not ray tracing. But I might be wrong. So yeah, take a look at Miguel's car. I know that Miguel hasn't been doing anything for us for a long time now, but maybe you still remember him. It's his car, as far as I know, still his car. And this is not his car, but it's still very, very nice. And if ray tracing doesn't bring anything very interesting to me on the table, it still is a great way to enjoy the car models, which look amazing as usual. So it's not a very big surprise here. But I wanted to take the time to show it to you. The last car you'll see, you probably spot reflections, RT reflections on the doors of the car that I opened, and that's about it for this section of the video. Now, if you own an Xbox Series X or even an Xbox Series S, you can choose to play the game in performance mode. On Xbox Series X, you get to keep the 4K resolution, although there's a dynamic resolution in place here. It really looks very, very nice. The main issue here is comes with the LOD that you can see here, the trees mainly. That's where you actually spot the difference between the quality mode and the performance mode in terms of a lot of issues. And some will say that it can be distracting, but I would say that it's not a very high price to pay if you really want to play this game at 30 FPS with a very, very sharp image quality and still quite a lot of details. So obviously the special effects are fewer here. I mean, the quality of the effects is probably lower in general, but it's not something you're going to see that much in normal gameplay, where you race through the map at very high speed, and you don't have the time to spot the difference in terms of the number of rocks and stones you can see on the ground, or even the quality of the volumetric lighting or fog or things like that. Now, I wanted to show you some gameplay clips where I was driving pretty fast cars, so you can see how the LOD is dealt with here, and it's pretty well done. And I really believe that no matter what quality mode you choose between quality and performance, you're going to have a great time, which makes actually choosing between the two modes quite a difficult thing to do. Usually it's pretty simple. And if you really want smoothness and fluidity, you're going to go for the performance mode. But like I said, the quality mode at 30 FPS is very, very, very smooth. It's incredibly smooth. I don't know how they're doing it. It's probably the motion blur, but it means that if you really want to go from one mode to the other, knowing that you have to reload the game from the beginning when you do. Then you can just do that. I would say that in performance mode, the overall image quality is probably a bit less blurry, because I'd say that there is less motion blur in action. So if you really want to make very nice shots of the environment like this, and you don't necessarily need to move very slowly to keep the image very clean, then performance mode it is. But in terms of gameplay, again, I probably spend more time playing in the quality mode than in the performance mode, and it never bothered me. You might feel differently, obviously, but there's a choice, which is great. So again, I'm showing you the landscapes, the locations I've shown before, so you can really compare if you want. You can screen grab a few of those vistas and then compare it directly on your PC if you will. But yeah, by and large, I would say that this performance mode is also a joy to play, which makes choosing very, very difficult. And yeah, I know it's something that has been brought up before, even by Digital Foundry, but I cannot say anything else really. It's this place is a place, I don't know for what reason, but I really like it. I think it's again very promising for what the studio is going to be able to do on Fable. Although yeah, the environment will probably look less realistic, more cartoony and more like fantasy style type of environment. But yeah, it's amazing what they can do in the scalability of the engine. It's pretty amazing, which is also why you get to enjoy this game on PC and have many graphics settings to choose from, so you can actually scale your visuals depending on the according to your system. So here again with this electric Porsche that I've been using a lot because it's very, very fast. To show you the LOD issues, check the trees again. This is where you'll spot the difference. But other than that, as far as I've seen, again, I might be wrong, but it's a very, very smooth 30 FPS. Playground Games, they've done an amazing job, and what they want you to experience is a very, very smooth gameplay, and that's what we get, and that's the best thing. So let's end here with the beach again. Take a look at this nice place, and I'll see you for the PC segment very soon. Last but not least, here's the PC version running here with my rig, an iNUF 900K and an RTX 2080 Ti, which is having a bit of a hard time sometimes, mainly because it's having a few issues, but I don't think it affects the way it performs. We start with the Forza Vista mode and the RT Reflections, which I think have the same problem than the Xbox Series X version in quality mode, which is that the world here doesn't seem to reflect with the ray tracing, and it's more the car reflecting itself, and you can spot that probably more easily if you rewind the video and check it out again. Now, obviously, we're on PC, so there's a lot of scaling here that's possible in the option menu, and I wanted to show that I'm going to turn off the resolution scaling option, so you can see that in 4K with my rig, you have to expect in the ultra settings plus a few extreme settings, a few drops. With the Knight Rider here, I wanted to use this car. And if you're all like me, it probably will bring back a lot of very nice memories. But you can see the GPU indication on the top right corner of the screen and the number of frames per second, and you'll see that when playing without the resolution scaling system, you're going to spot a few drops here and there, some more important than others, probably generally in the low 50s in gameplay. When the environment is packed with details, I would say, as we're about to see here when I reach this very nice, I don't know, flower field or something, not too sure what it is. And here you see that we are, in the mid-50s, lower 50s also. But I'm going to switch on the resolution scaling option, and it's going to smooth things out. Now, it doesn't mean that things are going to be perfect all the time when playing with all the graphics option maxed out, at least on a system like mine. But again, we've been warned that the review version we have, and I'm not sure it had been fixed when I recorded this, that the video memory used in the ultra setting was too important, much more important compared to what it was supposed to do. So maybe performance will be improved also in the final version, in the final build that you get to play. If you buy the premium edition, ultimate, whatever it's called, version that will come out tomorrow, I think it is, on November the 5th. So I wanted to show you that, although you can still spot a lot of issues with the grass mainly, as on Xbox Series X, and also sometimes elements in the background, it's also a very, very sharp image and very a lot of details, again, especially on the ground, as you'll see. Now, obviously, this is not something you're going to get to see a lot when you play, but if you want to take the time to use the drone or the photo mode, you're going to spot those things, and it's very nice to be able to enjoy such a detailed world. And again, it's very promising for the non-car racing games that Playground Games will develop in the future. So yeah, these locations that you get to know by now, I'm sorry I've shown them a lot, but for the sake of comparison, because I don't want to do a side-by-side video, because they take forever to process, I wanted to be able to see that all these places I'm showing, they do look amazingly detailed on every system I played them on. Now, obviously on Xbox One X and Xbox One, it's a lot blurrier. There are fewer rocks and things like that. The LOD issues on the cliffs are a lot more visible, and texture filtering and textures in general are not as precise as what you can see here. But what a joy to be able to prepare such videos. If I had the time to prepare an environment focused video, I would have. I'm not saying I will never do it. Probably is an option for me to do in HDR, as we don't have HDR content today, as we have to add commentary on the video, so I was not going to do that. But probably something to think about in the future for me if I have the time to do it, because it's really something I enjoy doing. Just taking the time to show the amount of work the developers have put in creating a world that looks stunning, really. I see no other word to describe it. And to be able to enjoy it with today's technology is really a gift, I would say, if you're lucky enough to have the PC to be to run this. But again, the scalability of the engine makes it possible for you to enjoy it even in lower resolutions, as I will show you in just a bit. It's PC, so you're not stuck at 1080p or at 4K. You can actually, there's no limit, but it also means you can scale down the visuals so it can run smoothly on your PC. So here is some 1440p gameplay, so you can see. So obviously the video is 4K, but what you're going to see here is the game running in 1440p with a bit more aliasing, I would say, but it's probably due to the fact that they're using MSAA combined with FXAA if you want, and they're not using temporal solution, which I think could probably do marvels on those edges in the city, maybe also on the vegetation and the trees when there's transparency involved. But again, aside from that, it's a game that really looks great. I don't think it looks a lot more impressive when you're not looking at the very tiny details than maybe the previous two games that were also very, very nice looking on PC. But I still think that it's just a proof that Playground Games are capable of releasing a game on a very big variety of systems that have different that are not all that powerful today, and whatever the system you're going to be playing it on, it'll just look very, very, very great. So that's the most important part. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, as people say on YouTube, and I hope to see you very, very soon.